All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 237 of the Restoring Rapport podcast. We are super excited for the content we got planned out for you guys today. As always, this is a podcast for young believers who are pursuing the goal of marriage and family and trying to get married as young as possible and as soon as possible in a healthy way. I'm your host, Seth Hensley. I come on twice a week, every week, to discuss not only the benefits of getting married young, but also encourage and equip you in your pursuit of that goal. I'm normally joined by my co-host Landon Mock, who is not here today. He is helping conduct and orchestrate and set up an Easter event at his local church, so he's unable to record with me today, but normally he's here. We talk about all things related to, again, getting married young. So if you're trying to do that and move towards that goal, this is going to be the best show for you. This is going to be catered individually to your needs. And I've been looking a long time on the internet for a show that is actually, designed and catered to and ministering to specifically young people who are trying to get married as young as possible. And I haven't really been able to find that many of those resources. So we are going to be a good one for you guys. And today we're going to be going over basically how to pull off the best coffee date that your significant other has ever been on. And just if you're looking to pursue the goal of marriage and family, you're going to have to go on some dates. And so naturally, you're going to want to be able to set yourself apart from the vast majority of other young men or women looking to go on dates with the opposite sex. So this is going to generate a lot of value for you. Hopefully, we're going to be going over an article, so it's not going to be just my opinion, but I have gone on a lot of coffee dates in the past that I can share with you and things that I've learned in that process, as well as give you this resource here that you guys can check out in the show notes if you're interested in the full article. But it's basically called, Hey, What's Your Coffee Order? Bumble's Guide to Coffee Date Ideas. And Bumble is a dating app. It's a kind of a unique dating app. The woman has to message first on Bumble. That's kind of their trademark way of getting people on their platform. But they have an article here on how to pull off the best coffee date ever. And I'm going to go through it here and then interject my personal experience with coffee dates, why I think they're great, what I think their shortcomings are, and then kind of give you all the wisdom I can on coffee dates to give you the ability to take your partner on the best coffee date ever. Let's get started. It says, but first, coffee. For the coffee fiends, enthusiasts, and aficionados, a familiar, quirky, and cozy coffee spot acts as a great location for a first date, especially for first-time meetups or when you don't know the person that well. Let's face it, Bumble meetups and dating in general can be daunting, and first date nerves can often kill that first meet buzz. Catching up in the homely comfort of a cafe can be the perfect tonic to keep those first date nerves at bay, allowing you to be yourself while enjoying a good coffee. What's more, it's the ideal opportunity for your potential partner to get to know your coffee order, a key factor to maintaining a solid relationship in our books. Something that I do want to point out is there's this kind of cultish following around coffee, and as you're probably aware of that if you're an avid coffee drinker. I'm actually not part of the coffee community, so I'm not going to talk about coffee dates from the perspective of what is good coffee and bad coffee and kind of tell you where to go. But I think the main thing that I want to highlight in that or in that paragraph here is just highlighting the importance of the location and the kind of coffee shop that you're going to. Coffee shops are great usually because of the environment. Sometimes they'll have a souvenir shop that you can browse with your partner. You can get a sweet drink or a treat there that you can sip on while you talk. It's not like having a meal where your mouth's full most of the time, and that kind of kills conversation. It's just like you can carry it around, and while the other person's talking, you can have a drink, which is the upside of coffee dates. If you ask me, they're usually set in a very romantic and cute setting. So the environment inside a coffee shop is going to be great for a first date. Some of the things to watch out for as far as the environment goes is whether or not the coffee shop is super bustling and busy. If it's an environment where that's really loud, it's going to be very difficult for you to maintain a conversation in that environment. And I would say that's not really conducive to a really good coffee date. And so you're going to want to keep the volume under control and pick a spot that is secluded enough to maybe perhaps have a view out the window, be away from conversations of other people enough to actually generate a conversation. and make sure that there's no loud music blaring in the background or, a constant stream of traffic right beside the table that you selected. Those are going to be things that you're going to want to stay away from. It says, so whether you enjoy an extra hot latte or a strong and short shot of espresso, kick back with your coffee order of choice and savor Bumble's guide to the perfect coffee shop date. Read on to find out everything from choosing the ideal location to deciding what to wear for a coffee date. Is coffee a good first date? Is their next subheading. Casual yet classic. Coffee spots are not only great for morning caffeine hits, afternoon pick-me-ups, and freelance work settings, believe it or not, they also act as great date locations to meet someone for the first time. Why, might you ask? Both low-key and cozy, coffee dates can be the best way to get to know each other and spend quality time together cheaply in a low-profile, no-frills setting. And let's face it, good coffee is something that we can all generally get on board with. Something that's also a good thing about coffee dates is they provide a low stress environment for this first date that you're going to be going on. Not many people have problems with going on a coffee date with somebody, especially if they don't know you that well. I mean, you're in a public space. It's a very safe environment as far as the women being comfortable with a man they've never met before, because there are lots of people around. It's also in broad daylight. You don't drink coffee at 10 o'clock at night for obvious reasons, but it's also good just because it's very casual and laid back and relaxed. It's not some super uptight thing where the person you're with is going to be worrying how she's being perceived by the clientele of the coffee shop or the other people in the vicinity of the date you've chosen. People can go to coffee shops to relax. People go to coffee shops to sit quietly and work. It's a very good conversation environment for talking and getting to know somebody. And so that's why it's another great idea. And again, most people like coffee. If you don't like coffee, there's something you can get there that you do like. The pros of coffee dates, it says coffee dates are an easy ground to start a conversation on. Pardon the pun. It says they're a great way to get great coffee and hopefully excellent conversation with your potential or current partner. They're a great way to gauge how interested you are in the other person in a low pressure environment without investing a lot of time into the date, i.e. if you're not feeling it, there's no love lost. And then it says recently moved to a new city. A coffee date is an ideal way for coffee aficionados to explore the best of the best coffee spots that are right on your doorstep. And if you enjoy the company of your date, that's a bonus. More cities and towns are bustling with cool coffee spots to sit back, sip, nibble, and relax. And you can easily prolong or cut the date short depending on how it's going. Most coffee dates will only last an hour or two. After the date, you can continue on to dinner or an activity. Plan to pick up another time or call it a day. No, it's not you, it's me necessary. So basically that whole paragraph, those several paragraphs there, were basically saying that one of the pros of a coffee date are leaving yourself a backdoor out of the date should it go south. And there are a lot of pros to this, generally speaking. If you are going on a coffee date, a lot of times it's the one planning the date, presumably the man, or I think it should be the man, will have picked a place that is close to both him and his partner. So they will both commute to that location separately, and then both are free to leave at any point in time. Again, that's a very freeing feeling to know that you are not basically relying on the other person to get home, I would imagine. And so there is another element of being laid back in that situation. If you go with someone to a big, Broadway show or a public event or a ballet or a play or a theater production or something like that, a lot of times you'll actually pick up your date for that. And so she's kind of stuck with you. And so I would usually those I don't think are the best first dates, just because, again, there's not a lot of opportunity for conversation like there is on a coffee date, and there's not a lot of freedom to kind of adapt on the fly like there is on a coffee date. And what I love about coffee dates is they make great sandwich bookends kind of to a really good date. You can kind of start with a coffee and then migrate to a nearby bookstore or park and go for a walk with your coffee, with your drink. Or you can basically do a coffee date first and then do some other form of date and recreational activity together, as long as the date's going well. So if she seems to be having a really good time and you are as well, you can just have a plan going into the coffee date to elongate the date. And that's one of the biggest tips that I would give you is don't just plan to go to a coffee shop and then have nothing to do in the area should the date go well. You're going to want to go in with a plan. I always say that, go in with a plan. You don't want to be the guy that goes in and has put no thought or research or time investment into this date, has not planned anything, basically has no idea what's going on. You're going to be the guy. You're going to want to be the guy who goes in knowing where everything is in the area, knowing what would make a good date and what would not, knowing ways to elongate the date. That would be a really good addition to it, instead of being a guy who goes in and doesn't know anything. My wife loves and loved when we were dating, when I plan things out and I have a plan and I have a vision for how I want the date to go and what the things that we can do. She doesn't want to have to generate ideas and run the date herself. She doesn't want to be the one behind the date. She doesn't want to be the mastermind that's planned everything. She wants to sit back and relax and enjoy the effort and work that I'm putting into her. And so, not that she doesn't contribute to dates, she plans lots of dates as well and helps me she gives me dating plan ideas that then I can put into motion. But my point is, she doesn't want to be the one that has the burden of enacting those plans and creating and formulating those date plans. So that falls to you as the man. So you're going to, and again, that's another great way to set yourself apart from a lot of the guys out there, because a lot of guys don't put time and effort into dates. They just kind of, take a woman somewhere. Let's go see a movie. Hey, let's go do this thing. Let's go out to dinner. And they don't put a lot of time or thought or effort into this. They just sort of do it according to the stereotypical blueprint of a dinner date or a movie date that they've, seen, in the past. And that's not always the best thing to do. You want to show thoughtfulness behind all the dates that you do. So make it as individual as you can. Coffee dates are great for talking, yes, but what is the person that you are going out with like doing? Try to incorporate something they like doing into an activity post coffee that you can do to, again, make that date something really memorable for her.
Hi guys, this is just a quick reminder that you can use the link in the show notes to send me a voice message with a comment or a question.
The next subheading that they have is how to pick the perfect coffee date location. Now that you've decided on the coffee date, it's now time to decipher where you want to go. From the location to the spatial dynamics and the vibe, there are plenty of factors to consider when picking the best coffee spot for your date. Consider opting for a location that is convenient distance for both you and your date to avoid any sorry I'm late. This is huge. It's also just common courtesy not to ask a woman to drive, an hour when you only drove 10 minutes. And again, as the man, you should be trying to make it as easy on her as possible if you want to go on a date with this woman. If you're the one that really wants to take this woman out, you need to put the work and the time and the effort into doing that. And so, do that. Don't make her drive, an hour, especially if you're the one who, is again, wanting to do this. If you're asking her out, put the effort in, pick a spot that she is really close to where she lives, where she doesn't have to drive very long to. You can also pick her up and offer to pick her up if she doesn't have a ride, or if she just offer to pick her up as a common courtesy. And then if not, you can also say we can meet there at the coffee store. Pick somewhere close to her. Another tip that they give is they say avoid bustling and always busy coffee chains. Could be a great place to start. I really highly recommend this one. I wouldn't go to Starbucks. Starbucks is a traffic jam nightmare. It's always busy. There are people who are constantly going in and out. It's a rather loud environment with all the blenders and things going. And they always have music playing, and they have just an overabundance of people. And it's also very standard coffee. I mean, Starbucks are everywhere. You want to take this woman on something, again, that stands apart and sets itself apart from the other coffee dates she's been on. So take her to a new coffee place that is a local recommendation and again, one great way to get a local recommendation is just tap into your natural resources. Go on Facebook and ask people for the best coffee chains that they know of in your local area. People are all too willing to help you with their experience. In my experience, if you ask somebody, hey, what's the best coffee place you've ever been to? They're going to give you a coffee place, and it's probably going to be a really good one that they remember fondly. And so you're tapping into the experience, the life experience of, hundreds of people online. So utilize Facebook. Ask people on your Facebook friends list, just make a post, best coffee recommendations in the blank area, go. And people will just launch off on all kinds of best coffee days that they places that they've been to. And they may also throw in a recommended nearby cool attraction that you can go to after you get your coffee. So that's another great thing to do, is pull in your local resources, enlist the help of people ask them for the best coffee date locations. And again, don't go a big chain where there's lots of people and it's hard to get in and out of the parking lot. I would go with something that is, again, relaxing for everyone involved. As for you as the man, yes, because if you're not relaxed, the woman you're with is going to pick up on that, and it's going to decrease the quality of her date. This happens all the time to me and my wife. If I pick a date that's hard for me to logistically make happen, and I'm stressed making that date happen, my wife is enjoying herself less. Because she wants me to be having a good time. She wants me to be able to focus on her instead of staying alive. And so trying to, weasel your way into a Starbucks parking lot might not be the best idea. It says for an artsy date, consider opting for a Scandi-inspired independent coffee shop. I don't even know what that is. The type: exposed brick, ceramic mugs, and paired back interiors. Okay, now that makes a little bit more sense. That imagery does to me. Book lovers may want to head to a bookstore or library coffee shop to enjoy a brew whilst comparing notes on their favorite hardbacks. That's another great thing. Like coffee dates you can take on the go. So you grab the coffee, and then again, because you're a good man that's setting yourself apart from the other men this woman has gone on a coffee date with, you're going to have a plan of somewhere that you can go with that coffee. A park, a bookstore, a local attraction. And so that is going to then act as not only a conversation generating tool, but it's going to allow you to elongate this date and make it as memorable and enjoyable as possible for her. It says choose a spot that's on the quieter side and has a lot of seating. I think that's true. Again, just not choosing something that is going to make conversation difficult in any way. Again, you're trying to decrease anxiety on this date and make this woman as comfortable as she possibly can be. So any way that you can do that is going to be great. Picking an environment where she doesn't have to shout is going to be a great way to do that. It says opt for an area with plenty of coffee haunts in case your chosen one is a little bit on the busy side. Get there early and find a good people watching spot. Always a great way to start a conversation. That is interesting. People watching is kind of a forgotten skill, but it's a really cool hobby just to see how people make decisions in the various situations that they find themselves in. Can be really fun conversation generating tool. It says ensure you have an exit strategy. Like any other date, you'll want to ensure that you have an exit strategy depending on whether or not the date goes well or not. Sorry, I've got to head off in an hour, so I'm grabbing lunch with a friend, or it's been great meeting you, but I need to run and catch my train. Act as the perfect excuses should you need one. Again, you can tell this is a dating site making these recommendations because they're dealing with people who, get together and then realize very quickly, hey, this is not going to work for whatever reason. And so they're creating exit strategies for these people. But presumably, if you know the person a little bit better than people who meet on Bumble, you're going to know a little bit more about this person. You're going to have a better idea of whether or not the date is going to go south prior to even getting involved in the coffee date. So having an exit strategy might be a little bit less important to you if you did not meet on a dating app. So you can kind of see where this article is coming from in that direction. It says, what is the best time for a coffee shop date? As most coffee shops don't stay open past 6 or 7 p.m., the best time for a coffee shop date is the morning or afternoon. The caffeine hit will give you an extra boost of energy that helps you give a great first and lasting impression. I like that, just setting yourself apart again from the other dates that this woman's been on. Just making her comfortable. Don't make her run the conversation. Don't make her ask all the questions. You need to be the one running things. She's along for the best ride of her life. So she just needs to be relaxed and basically being treated to an outing where she doesn't have to worry about anything. If you want to avoid the busy coffee shop rush, you might want to consider avoiding lunchtime crowd instead, arranging to meet around 3 p.m., leaving you enough time to make plans afterwards should the day go well. I think that is a great idea. Again, you won't get the morning people going to work, to get their coffee, and you won't get the lunch people on their lunch break going to the coffee shop, around 12 or so, 12 or 1. So meeting at around 3 is a great idea. How long should a coffee date last? Really, there is no right or wrong answer for how long a coffee date should last. That all depends on how much you are enjoying yourself and each other's company, and ultimately what you both want of it as the end goal. What's more, unlike a dinner date, thankfully with a coffee date, there is no real etiquette on how long you need to stay and be present. An hour should suffice. If the date is a hit, you could grab another flat white or maybe something a little stronger at the bar around the corner again. That's bringing into consideration, what your intentions are going into this date. If you're trying to take a woman on the best outing, on the best date that she's ever been in her life, dulling your senses is probably not going to be the best idea, as that article was suggesting with alcohol. That's mostly what I think people do when they're looking for a hookup, maybe, or a casual fling or something like that, when they're looking to have a good time and they're not actually looking to take a woman on the best date of her life, moving towards, a more lasting relationship. If you're actually trying to get to know this woman for the purpose of dating her, then, going and getting drunk and hammered, or getting a stronger drink, in the middle of the day, probably just not your best shot. What to wear on a coffee date? It says to reiterate, coffee dates are casual, so you can leave your LBD or power suit hanging in your closet, unless of course you're meeting a date in the midst of your working day, or you want to wear them. For a weekend coffee first date, a casual coffee meetup calls for low-key yet stylish ensemble that showcases your personality without giving the impression that you tried too hard, even if you did spend 45 minutes fixing your hair. What to wear on a coffee date, I think is really good. This is casual. I try to wear usually what I would wear on the types of dates that I do while I'm doing these episodes. So if you're subscribed to the show or watching on YouTube, this is something that I might wear to a coffee date, minus the hat. I would wear it's depending on, again, the time of year, a little a bomber jacket over a hoodie or something, with some jeans and some casual shoes, some boots probably is what I would opt for. But again, it just depends on your personal style. But again, casual, but still looks good. Still shows that you have a fashion sense, that you put effort into this date, that you're not just going out to meet this woman in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. That's not going to give, again, the first impression of yourself. And you want to show effort. You're trying to show this woman that you put effort into this date, that it wasn't something you just did because you had a free minute. It's something that you did because you want to get to know her and move closer to her and get closer to her as a romantic partner. And so you want to show effort in what you wear. So I wouldn't go, so casual that it screams to her that you were not invested in this date and the outcome of it. I would wear something that shows her you were thinking about what she would find attractive and that you were putting effort into your appearance. A lot of guys don't do this. They just don't put enough work into the way they look. But guys, that is something you can do easily to set yourself apart from, half the guys that are out there, is just make yourself look better than them. I mean, just put more time and effort into your appearance. And again, that will set you apart from the average Joe who is not putting as much time and work and effort into his date with this woman. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I hope you have gotten value out of it, and it's given you lots of great ideas on how to pull off the best coffee date ever with the woman that you care about or looking to get to know better. If you got something out of this episode, reach out and let me know what it was through the link in the show notes. You can send me a personalized audio voice message. Give me thanks, questions, comments, feedback, an alternate perspective, your story, anything at all. Tell me how the date went particularly, or if you've been on coffee dates in the past, let me know how they went and some things that you learned in that process, and then I can then share them with our audience, and you can help basically all the people that listen to the show that way as well. So consider reaching out and letting me know how the coffee date goes if you use any of these tips on that coffee date, and reach out and let me know what your past experience is with coffee dates and things that you've learned on them. Thank you guys so much for listening today. You can also follow the show on Instagram and Facebook if you're interested in the content we post there as well. I am so excited to do our next video for you guys soon, and I will talk to you next time.